This is our very first online opening for the virtual opening of choice. So welcome, get a beverage and snack of your choice. Some of you have already done that. And join us for a review of our current exhibition, along with a talk by a few of the exhibiting artists. Where we will take questions, like I mentioned, by chat. APG is generously funded by the Lubo Fund, which is Lucinda, so please thank her when you see her. The City of Atlanta Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and the Georgia Council for the Arts through the appropriations of the Georgia General Assembly. The Georgia Council for the Arts also receives support from its partner agency, the National Endowment for the Arts. Along with our membership and our donor base, makes APG run and allows us to have the workshops we have going on, as well as our events. Tonight, we have Choice, our APG members exhibition. It's always been a fun party in the gallery. Members get to pick what work they want to show, as opposed to having a juror choose it. So they get to pick their favorite pieces, maybe their new pieces, and they get to show one or two of those. Just really excited to be able to present this exhibition, even in an online format. Here's a list of our artists. A lovely slideshow for us, so we can just instantly stream into that. So I'm going to leave each image up on the screen for just a little bit. If anybody has, I don't know much about some of the work other than the information that the artist gave us, but again, as I said earlier, I'm really excited about the images that were in the exhibition. And this one happens to be first only because it is also alphabetically first, but for the situation we're in, it fit in so kind of serendipitously that it's all about being anxious and overwhelmed and worried and nervous and scared and anxiety and stressed. And this was submitted even before we knew what was going on. So the work by Amanda Williams was just so very beautiful and colorful and very poignant. Just the colors and the texture in this was very, very lovely. Okay. And again, another one from Amanda. I loved her images. They were just very soft and peaceful and very contemplative. Ashley has some images that kind of give us a slice of life from this one called The Mother. We have the laundry in the yard and the kids' toys, and just feels like, you know, every backyard I've seen. And this was one of my favorites. I just loved, maybe it's because I love the beach, but I just love the beach and that piece of fabric just very softly floating in the breeze. A little bit of people in the background, but I just love how peaceful that one feels. Okay. Bari. So Bari Love is our first artist who's going to talk a little bit about her work.
I'm sorry that Chip is the manager of my microphone. That's pretty funny. my husband keeps wondering whether there's a mute button for him someplace. So thanks for including me. So those of you I know, most of you know I'm a travel photographer, travel and landscape photographer. I had the chance in the fall on a cruise, to get to Newport, one of the places I've always wanted to go to. I've really been fascinated with the homes in Newport, the lifestyle in Newport, we actually arrived very early in Newport and were able to get going early on the houses. And just this image just kind of in almost one image said everything about Newport to me. The reason they were there for the light and the beautiful materials and everything they had. So this is almost right out of the camera. Just one of those images that caught my eye and caught the time period of Newport.
I love the light coming through the window. I think it's just beautiful the way it's coming in and breaking across the chair, and then it looks like the chaise lounge in the foreground. And just the beautiful colors, how warm it is, but how they all just, the color palette of it is really lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have one more from Bari. Hello, there we go. All right.
And this is in Quebec City. This one does have a little work to it because I wanted to make it feel like I felt the day that I was there, and I thought the umbrellas were so unique they deserved kind of to be highlighted. The buildings, the color of the buildings and things kind of distracted to me from the joy that I saw when I saw all of these umbrellas, and it was such a surprise. I've Googled it now a million times. There's a zillion images of this, but I wasn't familiar with it, didn't expect it. And after several weeks on a cruise ship, this was a really fun thing to bump into. So I just tried to bring that fun to the image.
Wonderful, thank you so much. I love both of them. So, and just the color happening in there, it makes it feel very cheerful, even though it looks like it was even a kind of an overcast day in a way. It just makes it feel very, very cheerful.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Bari. Okay. And Becky Wilkes is our next artist. Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you? Nice to see you. I'm so glad you were able to participate.
Thank you. It's really nice to be able to participate. I didn't think I'd be able to take the trip to Atlanta for this, so it's really great to be able to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So tell us, Becky's got two pieces in here that are very, very different. I'm going to let her talk about this one, and then I'll flip over to the next one.
Okay. All of this work is from a project that I call Ditched. And basically, I walked the waterfront. I live on a lake. And during the drought of 2014-15, I collected and documented every piece of debris on a 1-mile stretch of beach for a year. And this flag happened to be floating in the water along the shoreline where I was walking. And it was, of course, one of the more significant moments that I came across. But most of my pieces that I collected were like beer cans, bottles, and all sorts of lake trash that is unexpected underneath their freshwater supply. We talk an awful lot about the trash that's entering the oceans, but the world is not talking about trash in our freshwater supply. And so after a year, I found so much debris that it's made me into quite an activist. And I don't call this flag debris, but it was floating in our freshwater supply amongst 7,000 more pieces of debris that I collected.
Wow. Okay. And then I'm going to move to the next one.
Okay, so most of my work is digital collage. And basically, after I got started collecting all this debris, it was sort of like, what do I do with 600 cans and 400 bottles and 400 plastic bottles? And so I basically categorized everything and created collages. But this particular piece was a result of an opportunity to create a mural for the side of a building, and the straw would have been an actual gutter that was running down the side of the building. And so I needed that element, and I basically played with all of the individual photographs that I had and created this bird that feeds on these plastic pellets or otherwise plastic lids.
Wow. So I did have a question. One was, I think it was from the one before. or is like, was that a reservoir or a lake?
It's Eagle Mountain Lake. So it is a reservoir.
Okay.
It's on the Trinity River system. It's one of 15 reservoirs on the Trinity River in Texas.
Okay. And then Kaylin really loves the symbolism in your first piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be read so many ways. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we've got a couple comments about the collage and what a great idea it was, and that they love it. So
thank you. Thank
yeah,
you. Every item is individually photographed and then it's isolated. So my work is very digitally created.
Okay. On to Chris Anderson, which has a different take on water. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Carolyn Meltzer is next, but Chris Anderson will be coming up with his work. Carolyn is actually here in our group, and this is one of my favorite pieces of hers. The little chick leaving home. I think it's fabulous. Something about it.
Yeah, thanks so much. This was captured outside of Havana in Cuba in a farmhouse. It was quite dilapidated. And I was just looking around, and I just turned around toward the door, saw the light streaming in, and this chick going toward it, and sort of made itself this piece. So again, sort of a good fit for the time we're in as we look for hope.
Yeah, and we look for escape, I think.
Indeed.
All right, so that was another one of Carolyn's. Just had a really lovely feel to it, just very fresh, and children playing in the water.
Good, thanks. This was outside of Bordeaux at a beautiful fountain. Starting to do more street photography.
Yeah, it's lovely. You're doing a nice job with it.
Thank you.
And now we're on to Chris. And Chris has a different take on water here, and I'm going to let you talk about your two images that you have in the show.
Sure. These two images were from a trip to Greenland last September, and this was about 500 miles of sailing on eastern Greenland into a sound. Eastern Greenland is the least populated area of it, and the two pictures that I chose for the Greenland one are two that are different from the others. But this one here was a sunset over an area called Bear Island, and it was interesting because it's something I always tell people is I always see photographers run away right after the sun goes below the horizon, and I always tell people just wait because the best is yet to come. And so this was obviously after the sun had set, and the sky lighted up and lit up the foreground. But Greenland has been a place that I'd wanted to go ever since I was about 9 years old. I actually flew over Greenland in a DC-7 when I was a kid, and always wanted to return that, and actually got to return with a childhood friend. So this was a tripod shot for about a second and a half shot in that area.
Getting some comments. Amazing landscape, looks like a painting. Really beautiful sunset in the horizon, and a lot of patience is rewarded. So
yeah, that's one thing about landscape photography, which is primarily what I do, is countless amount of times that you go out, spend the entire night out, come back with absolutely nothing, and then sometimes it just hit it, and a lot of times it's when you don't know that. So thank you. Yeah, Greenland was an amazing place, especially over in eastern Greenland, just because it's the most remote place I'd ever been. This next shot, I wanted to capture a shot of the boat that we were in, which was actually a boat that was originally built in 1918. It's a twin-mast oak boat that was built in Denmark. I wanted to capture a shot, and I have plenty of them just from going to and fro in Zodiacs. But this was actually a morning shot when we went out to go into a lagoon that had just beautiful clear water. We were headed out to the lagoon, try to catch the morning alpenglow and sunrise, and had the moon up. And so this was just when we're pulling away from it. So it was a shot that I felt kind of captured the still feeling that we had of being 8 days on an old wooden sailboat. And again, of course, this was shot from the Zodiac, so it was shot much faster. So.
Wonderful. Thanks, Chris. I know that was a fabulous trip. I've seen a bunch of his photos from this photo outing, and it's just an amazing area, an amazing landscape. And more power to you. There is no way I could be on that boat for 8 days in the middle of nowhere. Deborah Green is up next. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Judith. Everything that I love is to shoot old things, old buildings, old people, old cars. And this is actually the driver's side rear fender of a 1950s, early 50s Cadillac Fleetwood. And yeah, in addition to photography, I also love abstract art, but I can't draw or paint anything, but I can shoot. And so when I shot this car, and it happens to be in White, Georgia, in Old Car City, which if none of you have been there and you like looking at old cars and all kinds of old vehicles, there's over 6 miles of trail through the North Georgia woods with cars that have been there for so long. I mean, some of these cars have been there 60 and 70 years, and some even longer. Buses, car parts taken apart. With this particular one, what you see here in red was actually part of that left rear fender that was almost completely rusted through. And so I love working in Photoshop. I experiment a lot with layers and with blending modes. And if you look closely at it, you can actually see flakes. And those are actually areas where the paint is flaking. So this, the one thing that one of the many things I love about photography is you can be the kind of artist you want to be. The other piece I have is also taken of, this is also happens to be actually the same car, believe it or not. And this is actually the driver's side door panel. And I don't know what caused the original shape that you see here. I thought that the shape of what it rendered was phenomenal, and so I was just amazed at what actually evolved, you know, from those initial shots. And actually, that was my first visit to Old Car City.
Deborah, thank you so much. I really love the abstract that you got off the cars. I think it's just like a really wonderful texture that you. Dudley Carter has 2 images in the show. Dudley does a lot of composite work as well, but in a completely different way than Becky does, where he's creating these narratives of different things, which I find very intriguing and very interesting, just the elements that he has composited together. So calling this one Light Beer, and I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but on the wall plate, it actually says Yuengling, and it has the Yuengling logo on the side of it as well, which is one of the oldest breweries in the U.S. based in Pennsylvania. So, and then this one titled Putting Back the Pieces, creating the puzzle effect of the image as well. So, okay. Very nice work. Lots of narrative. He has a lot of other images that he does a lot of collage with, and it has very narrative and storytelling effects with them. Okay, Eric, you are up next.
Okay. What would you like to know?
Well, tell us a little bit about this. Eric has 2 pieces in here that are very different from each other. So just give us a little background on the image. I know this was outside New Orleans, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
Well, I basically follow my nose. I photograph what I have an emotional reaction to. This happens to be an artist place, who's a guy who makes and sells art. This is in his parking lot, and these are some things that he's put up, the horses and whatever. I just happened to be there at the I don't know if it's perfect time of day, but it was late afternoon sunset, and the glow inside of the bus is real. That is because the sun was hitting directly inside the bus from off to the right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an amazing kind of study on light and that kind of stuff too. In addition to, I like strange things like this guy's work in conjunction with the bus and the trailer off to the right and this beautiful sky. And because of the light, the way everything rendered is really quite amazing. So
I think it's just amazing how the light just hit in the bus, and that was just the light at the time. So you were there at the perfect time for this, with the sky and the light happening inside the bus, and then those crazy, you know, from an ice cream cone to the carousel horses to who knows what's going on.
Well, this guy was a very eclectic kind of artist. He did all
Yeah.
kinds of crazy things and all kinds of crazy stuff. Things that he manufactured out of found objects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's I guess like an assemblage artist.
Mm-hmm.
He would make things and
Yeah.
kind of I think he follows his nose too, the way I do.
Okay.
And especially, I love New Orleans. I go to New Orleans quite a bit.
Okay.
New Orleans is just a fabulous place to photograph, from people and parades and this image is a guy by the name of Harris. I'm from Detroit, Michigan originally, and a bit of time at a church in the inner city of Detroit that did community outreach, and they had a residency for homeless people. They take in homeless people and drunks and alcoholics and prostitutes, and hopefully with their method is God and kindness and loving. They hopefully try and turn these people around. I don't know a lot about Harris. I was in the residency photographing some other people, and he happened by, and I asked if I could take his picture. He said, sure. I said, well, where's your bed? So he went over and sat down, and so this is his bed. This is where he spends his night.
Wow.
And he's quite a sports fan, hence I think the jersey that he's wearing, and you can see the baseball bat.
Yeah.
So I think it's a wonderful combination of, the Bible and the boom box and the stuff on the wall and all the texture on the wall. You can see where other people have had this bed and have hung things on the wall, and things have been taken down, and definitely needs a new paint job.
Yeah. It's just lovely, and just like the soulful look in his eyes is just amazing.
I'm by nature, my primary endeavor is social documentation. I'm very much committed or very much interested in sociology, society, and not always the good parts of it. So I often seek out these kinds of situations.
Yeah.
And I like to photograph reality.
Yeah.
And
we have a few images from Erica Angelica.
Yes. The first one, Femme Nature, it's a tree that was in my yard, and I noticed it because it kind of reminds me of the female genitals. So that's why I called it Femme Nature, because it reminded me of Mother Nature and what it stands for, and it reminded me a lot of the feminine aspects of the female body.
Okay.
And in Photoshop, I played with the coloring and made it purple to kind of bring out the different textures of it, to kind of emphasize what I felt when I saw that tree.
Okay.
Yes. This one is a self-portrait. With this one, I just wanted to show them a mystery. I called it The Girl Behind the Rose to kind of show that, you know, everybody has a different side to them, a mystery behind them, and we all don't know exactly what everybody goes through, or we don't know what emotions people have behind them, so we shouldn't judge. So we always should look beyond what's in front of us.
Okay. And then Hannah Elijah's, and I love that she called it creep because somebody has tagged this piece of the scene. Looks like an abandoned football stadium. And then also this one looks like another part of the same location, a slightly different view, and just documenting those abandoned locations. And we have Joe's image. There's photographers everywhere, aren't there? So he's photographing the photographer. Looks like in the museum, woman posing for her photo in front of this large image of the trees. And John Howe is another one of our speakers this evening. So John.
Well, this is my first trip to Paris, and after going through the streets and taking photos of a lot of familiar places, came upon a office building. It had this incredible sculpture right in the lobby, and I was just fascinated by it. Thought it was amazing the way it disappeared into the ceiling, and couldn't wait to see what it looked like in black and white with the shades of gray.
Yeah. I think that's one of the amazing things about Paris is, you know, they add art to all different kinds of places. The form of that sculpture is so amazing.
It's in real life, it's more like a brass and a white, alternating brass and white pattern.
Oh, I like it in black and white much better.
Everything in black and white for so long, I just instantly said, well, that's got to be black and white. And,
great to have you.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, John. And Laura Inman is up next. I see her. So give us a little story about your parking decks.
Oh, right. I'm taking this class out at Spruill. I've been taking the same class for like 3 or 4 years. And every week there's kind of a crazy assignment. And this one was an ugly place. So I went to parking garages, and this happens to be Colony Square. And I just got permission and wandered around for a few hours. And here's one of, you know, my favorites from what I got, but it was, the whole thing was very amazing, and lots of interesting images from a parking garage. The light is cool, the colors, you know, are very surprising when you slow down, when you stop and look around. Mm-hmm. So that's what this one is.
I'm going to go on to the next one too, because this is also part of another the same parking garage.
Same parking garage.
Wow.
Yeah, believe me, it'll be worth your time. Park and take your camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of what was there. Well, I'd like to go back. I sort of finished this assignment and moved on to other things, but it's like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world awaiting in parking garages. Especially the light is very cool. They usually have these kind of neon, strange lights in the ceiling, and the way they cast the shadows. I loved it. So.
And then Lawrence Russ. I mean, it was really amazing that some of the images that were shown, that were entered into the choice show before the COVID-19 really came about in the U.S. really spoke to that, and this is one of them, Lawrence's image of Angels of Love and Sorrow. So there were several images that came in that really kind of spoke to the pandemic situation, which is really interesting. And I don't think anybody had planned that, or that we even foresaw that this would be what was going on. And I just really kind of loved the textures and the light happening in this image. Okay. And then Lisa Hill's image, just the very soft, she's taken it looks like it is, you know, a beach scene, and just made it very abstract, just very smooth colors and lines, that it could be a painting, but it's definitely a photograph, and just very soft lines and very soft colors. It's just like another very peaceful, yet really lovely color image in there. Okay. Lisa Reisman had brings us to the Majestic at sunset. So I think most of you in Atlanta know where the Majestic is. Anybody eating a nice, interesting view of Majestic at sunset, capturing the neon and the street scene happening in there. Mary Farmer, just a really beautiful landscape of the trees. I wish I knew where this was. It looks like it's not in the US. It says the King's Road. It's just like that lovely path down between those really beautiful old trees. Micah Casella chips is, I believe, from Havana also. And it's just a really beautiful little image of the car and part of the scenery there. So it's like a really lovely image. So if okay. Myrtie, you're here.
Well, I entered 2 coastal pictures. I took a trip out to the West Coast last September, and I was just, I noticed the contrast in how the 2 coasts look. And so the West Coast is very rocky and, you know, dark sand. And then this is in the Intercoastal Waterway near St. Augustine. So you get totally different looks. So I just really like the contrast between the 2 photos.
And I love how you got the light on the water, and the reflection across the water just really adds like a really nice vibrance to that black and white, just that beautiful light reflecting off the surface of the water in both of the images is wonderful.
Thank you.
And it looks like, I don't know if those are people in the background here, but the other one actually had looks like a crane in the background there, which was kind of this nice little bit to draw my eye into the distance on that.
Yeah, that is what that is. And that was a group of people in the other shot. They just all were holding hands and walking out into the waves and having a good time. So
okay. No, I love that, the reflection and the rocks on the coast. It's just like really very lovely. Nice job. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Myrtie. And Nafisa, who did not join us as far as I could tell, she entered A River Runs Through Me. This is from her Grand Canyon series. Okay. As well as then just the color on that and the sunset really makes it look like that that shrubbery is almost on fire. Okay. Nathan, you are here and you are up now.
Well, I am here. I chose these 2. Actually, I'd rather talk about the second one first. Can I talk about that?
Yep, I just moved.
Okay. I chose these before the pandemic really got to us.
but especially at my age, the pandemic makes me think about family, and these are family pictures.
Okay.
My wife's great-grandfather, named George Washington Fetzer. This is called Fetzer's Barn. George Washington Fetzer came back from the Civil War, and a relative of his had hidden some gold from Sherman successfully. And he told her, if you'll give me that gold, I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. And she did, and he did. And he took the money and he bought timberland. And he wound up with lots of timberland, enough that he could give each of his 7 sons 500 acres and a farm. So my wife's grandfather got 500 acres and a house and a barn. When I married into the family 57 years ago, I went to the house, I stayed there, enjoyed it many times. My daughter and her brief husband, but they lived in the house for a while. The house burned to the ground in 2012.
Wow.
But the barn is still standing, and we were down there in the past year or so, and I took this picture of the barn, and it just sort of says to me that we're still here, and we're still going to be here. So that's the story of this particular picture.
Okay.
The other picture, the second one, the previous one, that's on the same land. It's in Effingham County, which is the first county north of Savannah up the river. We cut trees on it a year ago. When you grow pine trees on property, usually they will totally wipe out any hardwood that's on the land because their canopy blocks off the light. But occasionally a hardwood tree will survive and grow. And after we took down the pines, this lone hardwood was left standing. Well,
those were great. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating. You always do such a lovely job with the black and white. Nice contrast and tonal values in there.
Thank you.
Okay. It's me, Peter. Peter Tilgner from New Jersey. Peter's one of our New Jersey members, and he had entered some interesting, he does a lot of street photography. So this was one of them. Who am I? Interesting textures on that wall. Okay. And then standoff with the water buffalo. Okay. Peter Essick, you are up with your wonderful zebra.
Hello everyone.
Hey.
Yeah, well, for the last couple of years, I've been working with these multiple image photographs, and it started actually when I was working with the drone photos. I would take a lot of different pictures of this single subject and kind of put them together, but this particular one was not done with the drone. I'd happened to be at the Philadelphia Zoo, and I saw, I just kind of had the idea to try and take a series of pictures. It's kind of taken over maybe about a 2-minute time frame, and I just noticed that, well, when you take pictures of animals in the wild, they tend to move quite quickly, but at the zoo, this zebra was moving hardly at all, or just a little bit. So it's kind of a little bit similar to, some of you maybe have seen these Edward Muybridge pictures of from the 19th century, the motion studies of animals. I think probably the most famous one is the horse is running. So this is kind of a little bit of a take of sort of the animals in lack of motion, I guess you might say. But there is, I guess, when there's just very small movements, it kind of accentuates that when that's kind of all, and everything else, the the other thing that makes it work is you have to have it on a tripod so that the whole framing stays the same on all the pictures.
I just love the zebra, and just like it really didn't move it much. It's really standing still for almost everything. It turned and looked at you for a minute, and then kind of turned back. It's like, oh, he's over there, no big deal, or something's over there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. Sometimes you'll see animals in the zoo, they're pacing, and sometimes they'll just sort of stay. I guess it's sort of like nothing to do and all day to do it type thing, you know. But,
and I really love the blue ball in the background with it.
yeah, there's a neat thing that happens with multiple images where you're just the relationship between them, and then the lines that the ball makes and things like that. The grid pattern, really.
So, somebody said something about, it's like, damn, this is hypnotic. It really is. It's definitely very hypnotic. It's especially, you know, the lines of the zebra and then the blue dot in there. But I love it. When I first saw it, when you presented it before, I was like, I really love this one.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice job. I really enjoy it. So.
Thank you.
Oh, and I put a couple of my images in, give you a quick little overview of it. I love to do travel photography as well. I think Bari said she loves that. And kind of street scenes, and even what Eric said about just kind of finding things that are out there. And I happened to be in Rome a few years ago during Bike Week. And it was Harley Davidson Bike Week. So, and that's really loud in Rome, I must tell you, with the echoing off the buildings. But I looked up, and this fabulous tiny little old woman was crossing the street in front of all of these bikers, and I just had to get that shot. So I thought that was like so much fun. And then I also love night photography, so I love walking around at night. Sometimes I'll take my tripod and sometimes I don't. This one was not on a tripod, so it was a pretty high ISO setting, but I love how the light at night just changes your view and what the landscape and what the scene actually looks like. And this was a covered carousel. It was all wrapped in plastic, and just how the carousel horse just gets silhouetted in there, I think was a really lovely little aspect of it. So it was really fun to see that. But and then we have Reis's image, which Reis is not here, but Reis is, I think, doing a lot of photography, his art photography with his cell phone, and then a lot of manipulations. So just the alterations of this with the color and the contrast was really very interesting. Richard, who is right here with us, you are next. Okay. Okay. Yes, oh my.
I'm not muted. Oh, that was good. Okay, good. Yeah, this is, I've been doing a series of pictures on the Chattahoochee River. Specifically, I do it on the Roswell boardwalk. And so it's about a 2-mile strip of boardwalk they have out there, a walkway. And I've been photographing there for a while. It's kind of an interesting place because it's a part, the Chattahoochee is a dam-controlled river. So the river, depending how much rain there is upstream or how much water they have to release, the river's always rising and falling and rising and falling. And it's really has this impact on this little piece of forest that's along the river. And so I've been photographing the river in different stages. And this picture was one of my most interesting pictures. It doesn't really look like this in color. And it's like, I go and I take pictures, and it's like, I just go and take pictures. I just take pictures when I'm compelled to take pictures of. And then when I get them back, then I really look at them, and I usually turn them into black and white, and then they kind of reveal themselves to me. And this is an example of one of those pictures that really revealed itself to me. I'm really interested in the idea of the wild. idea of the thicket. You know, we go in the woods and we kind of expect to see the beautiful landscape or the pastoral field, you know, or that majestic scene. But the everyday landscape of the forest is something that's quite different. It's very dense, it's thickety. It's not always pretty, but it can always be interesting.
Oh, sorry.
It's everything becomes revealed when I convert it to black and white. So I get a real different. So sometimes I don't even know that I've taken that wonderful picture until I turn it into black and white and work on it a little bit. Then it reveals itself to me, and that's how I work.
I love the chaos of it, where normally you have this like one thing in most landscapes that lead you to a specific place, but a lot of your pictures of the river have all of this stuff going on, and all of these vines and all of these trees and all of this stuff, just the tangle of it in there, all this tangly stuff going on, which I find very intriguing.
Yeah, kind of mysterious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, for a long time, I thought about, you know, how do you photograph in the forest? You know, when you go into the forest, and how do you photograph in there? Because it's so chaotic, you know?
Yeah.
But then I learned to live with the chaos.
Yeah. But then just like that one little bit of light happening in the middle just kind of draws you into that one piece that's in the middle. You see all of this stuff going on, and then that one bit of light that's happening on those few things in the middle just draws your eye into that.
Yeah.
Nice job, Richard.
What's also interesting about this is that I used to do commercial photography, and I would always worry about dappled light. I'd photograph weddings outdoors and all the dappled light you get when you're outdoors in the woods or whatever. And then with this, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
No, you can definitely work with the dappled light.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice job. Thank you. Next, we have Ron Rubino, which we have. Ron, you are next.
Yep, you unmuted me. I don't know if you really wanted to do that, but here we go.
I don't know. We still have the power on our side.
Okay, yes. So there we go. This is just an image that is a group of photographs that is titled Show Me a Sign. So many times we see things written and they're right there in your way, so I just went ahead and put it right in the front and put together a bunch of other works with it. And so it's a series of work. And I've always liked steel beams and the rivets and just how it shows. And this is a little place called SoCo Crafts. You pay 50 cents and walk 9 stories up and take a picture there. Supposedly the most photographed place in the Smoky Mountains. So I can't be like everybody. I got to put a beam right there in the middle, right? And one last thing, Bill Yates, I don't know if he's still there, but somewhat influenced by John Gossage back in DC, and he had a show of work long ago of Berlin, and some of those beams. Louis Hine also, had the steel works in Manhattan when they built. There's something about a steel beam in a photograph and the rivets and just how it comes up in black and white. I've always liked that, and I finally got to put it in a photograph, so that's it.
And you got a little writing on there too, so someone kind of, draws our eye in there. Life is short, only do what you really want. So, Summer Davis is not with us today, but I thought this was a very intriguing photograph as well. Just the crop on it and the light on it, and then all of this string around this poor guy's neck. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but I just love the composition and the light that was happening in this image. Okay. And then Cy, I don't think Cy joined us this evening. Didn't see him here. But Cy always has some interesting work happening. He does a lot of composite stuff with some crazy pieces in there. So this was one he calls Cabbage Head. And then he also has another architectural image called Valhalla. That is just, I think we need to put this next to Peter's zebra because this is very hypnotic as well. Just the angle on this Very interesting angle, nice light going on. Looks like he has some mirrored image happening in there, but and then Tanya,
I'm sorry, my English not so good. I'm from Ukraine. I live in America only 5 months, but still I try. And this is my first time in your group. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. We're happy to have you.
We're happy to have you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. My husband close with me. If something happen, he can help me.
Okay.
Okay, first photo. Actually, this photo I made in Ukraine. This is birds. We say hrak. Hrak. I understand in America you don't have these birds. And problem is that I'm always late. And actually I'm run with my camera, and I saw this picture that these two birds sit on the tree, and I don't know they talk or not, but it looks like they kiss. And I know that I late, but I stop and think I must make this photo, because if I'm not made this photo, God don't give me again chance made this photo. I stop, and actually it was only 2 photos, and I run again. And what is strange, these birds, they like hot weather, and they back very early, because in Ukraine last winter was very long, March and even half April. Why this photo? Because if you look at this photo, you see a lot branch, and focus actually must be on the branch, but maybe because black color, and it's not a lot on the photo, but still we saw something how explain, beat our eyes, because if we close our eyes and open everything what we see birds, and that's it. And what I tell you is that actually it's hard to find these birds who really kiss. And that's why for me this photo special, because first it's romantic, because second it's magic that these birds back and sit on the tree where you can't see snow, because they never back if it's still winter. They back only if it's spring. This photo for me much stronger than another one. Why? This photo I made in Chicago, and if you look at right and left, you can see symmetry. In Ukraine, for me it's strange, because in America almost symmetry, they have peace, and if you go inside it's very calm. In Ukraine our symmetry is very scary. And actually, even if it's day, you scared go inside. It's really very scary. We don't have a lot trees, high trees, and crosses, very big crosses, and all crosses very similar everywhere. That's why for Ukraine, cemetery it's not space where you can talk with nature. Why this photo? Because right to God, because these trees, it's like connect sky people who not with us. It's connect with us who still alive, and with people who alive for us forever.
Tanya, thank you so much, and I'm so glad you've been able to participate with us. And then I believe these are our last 2, and Valerie is not here, and we're going to turn out. She's been doing these very interesting abstract images and kind of mirror image things of these wood textures, and I wish she was here to talk about them, but I just love the abstract quality and the color palettes of them. Okay. And then how she's manipulating them to even make it even more abstract. I really find it very very intriguing. All right, say thank you all for joining us. This was our very first online opening and artist talk. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I saw some great comments coming in on the chat. Like I said, I will share with everybody. But if anybody has any questions and wants to chat a little bit, I am here. And your mic is open. So we are happy to have a talk right now. So.
Well, I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was wonderful, and it was a great idea.
Thank you, thank you. You know, it's an interesting way to have an opening, but I think we had a nice turnout. I think we actually got to hear more about people's artwork than we probably do in the gallery.
Yeah,
Especially
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say the very same thing. You learn so much. We've learned so much more about each other and our approaches and our interpretations than we would have if we were strolling around through the gallery. So this was great.
So how did you guys think this went?
It's very creative. I think it's great, you know.
Very well.
Yeah.
Went well. Thanks, Judith.
I like being able to hear all the artists talk about the work, and that's just something that it's hard to get that out. You get one or two.
I mean, when you're in the gallery at an opening, there's so much noise and you can't, you know, nobody's talking about their work. You can't, you know, get any insights like this, you know.
Well, you might talk to 2 or 3 people, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed this much more than I did the usual gallery opening in terms of seeing the photographs and hearing people talk about them.
Yeah.
So I get to buddy up with my buddies and drink your wine. I drank mine instead.
Well, I had beer myself.
It's nice to be in a group show and to have a chance to hear everybody talk about their work. And you should do this every time, even if you have a regular in-person opening. There's something just informal about it.
Yeah.
It allows you, because when you go to the show and you're at an opening, you get so distracted by everybody, you don't always see all the work, and then you never get the story behind the work either. And this was really wonderful for that.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I've been considering that, and I think this was, you know, this kind of like leads us off to that. So, and I do want to say that I really do appreciate all of the background people who have been helping APG from our board members, including Chet and Chip and Tony, who's over there under admin.
Don't pin it on me.
As well as Beth, she's been helping with the programming and doing some of the workshops, and Donna Garcia, who is here with us. She is our marketing assistant. So we've been working in the background on some of our marketing stuff and talking about things, but yeah, we're just trying to have some interesting things and to, you know, change it up a little bit. And we do think that in the future, we will continue to have some online activities because people like Eric and I'm trying to think who else was here, Becky and others who are, and Hannah, who you're in Berkeley. You guys are able to participate and not have to figure out how to get to Atlanta, even if you can, you know, if you could get to Atlanta, especially
which is hard to do right now.
Yeah, well, even especially for like, oh wow, I'd love to participate in that workshop. You know, it's an hour, it's 2 hours, it's 3 hours, but do I really want to go to I can't go to Atlanta to do that. In tomorrow's workshop, we have somebody, I think, from Santa Fe participating in it that wouldn't be in it if it was in the gallery. So, you know, I'm thinking there's been a little bit of a silver lining where we're able to connect in a lot of different ways that we wouldn't have connected before. So I'm excited about it. But,
well, I think it's terrific.
Great, thank you.
Great job.
Thank you all so much. So it was great. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? Peter?
No, thank you. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed everything.
No, I thank my friend AJ Caruso, who's not a member, but hopefully he'll get him to join. He's a friend. He's a photographer and a composer, musician, and he joined us today, and I hope he can join us as a member and be in a future exhibition.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Chris. This was great. This was great. I got to come to one exhibit to see Chris's work. and I agree, this is a unique spin on it all, and it's got some advantages I don't think I expected, being able to hear all the stories with clarity,
Yeah.
So thank y'all, very good.
Oh, no, you're very welcome. And thank you all for joining us. So hopefully you will tune in on some of our workshops and also on our other upcoming juror talk and our next opening. And I'm excited to see everybody. So wish I could see you in person, but here we are. But at least we're able to connect. So, and it's great to have everybody participate. Thank you all very much. If you need anything, you all have my email addresses. Please reach out. I'm at my desk. I'm not in the gallery. That's my virtual background. But I am at my desk. So thanks so much. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.